Well, the day of reckoning is coming. Now, why do I say that? We're actually going to talk about some policies that Trump has come out and stated. Shocking announcements because of some reports that he received. I think we see just the top of the iceberg of what corruption really looks like. And all under it, it's a mess of problems. I think that's why they're so scared of him appointing these people, because they actually may do their jobs, unlike most of Washington. Also, we're going to talk about what Great Britain and England and places in Europe are doing, because they didn't do like Americans and try to elect someone and get the pendulum swinging back to common sense. We're going to talk about what they're facing. They're needing strong men again. And to be honest with you, if we would have went the way of Harris and Biden and kept that going, we'd have been in the same boat that they're in. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about, again, wasteful spending. Some things that we shouldn't be spending money on, and I am hoping and praying that Trump really does want to change some things around. You know, everybody made fun of Milei in Argentina. Well, now there's a new report that shows how much of a surplus Argentina will have, all because he did the things that Trump is talking about doing too. So instead of looking at Great Britain and Europe and what they've got now, we could look at Argentina and say, well, this is the way of what we're wanting. Again, strong men can change the world, especially if their heart and their feet are pointed in the right direction. Today, let's discuss these stories. This video starts right now. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell. Give us a thumbs up. You ringing the bell, you give us a thumbs up, you subscribing, you commenting helps our message go out. The last 3 or 4 videos, because we've talked about some hard issues, we've actually been suppressed. So we need your help to spread our message across this platform. So please share this with your friends. Comment below. Tell us what you think about it, because this helps us, again, make sure that we're getting information to people, because some of these things no one knows about. And so therefore, if we can bring attention to it, maybe it gets us more wisdom and a common sense approach to raising our families. Because that's what it's all about, people. Making sure that we are raising our family in a sustainable and thought-provoking way, but also in a wise way, to say, you know what, we want our kids to have a better America than sometimes we grew up in. We want our America to be back to where it once was. Now let's talk about these stories. First, let's jump into what I call the Trump effect. Again, you saw him at the UFC last night. All the people that won were coming up, shaking his hand. This is what America exceptionalism looks like. Now, are they praising Trump? No, it's the fact of you're building a patriotic way about America once more. So I like to see that. Okay, back to the Trump effect. There's a new report coming out of Oklahoma. Listen to this. Oklahoma launches a pilot deportation program. Oklahoma is rolling out a program that will transfer 500 plus undocumented inmates from state prisons into ICE custody starting January 2025. Listen to this. Aligning with Trump's mass deportation plans, the initiative could save more than $1 million monthly. So you see, even us imprisoning these people that should not be here because they committed crimes, instead of keeping them here, why are we spending taxpayer dollars to feed them and take care of them? Send them back to their countries they're at. This is going to save just this 500 people that they're going to deport and give back to ICE. It's going to save $1 million monthly for the Oklahoma people and, of course, the taxpayers throughout the United States. That is just the cost of incarceration. That's not taking the cost of years and years and years worth of anything else that they're needing. This is just them being in prison as a number. So we're starting to already see a Trump effect where people are saying, you know what, starting when this new administration takes off, we're sending them out of here. So it's a pilot program that could work out for other states. Think of how much money your states would have in surplus if they quit taking care of people that they shouldn't be taking care of. Criminals or the people that's in these shelters. Now California, New York, and Chicago have all doubled down. They are willing to take care of those people. Actually, Chicago said, you will have to walk through me. The Illinois governor said that you will have to come through me to get to my people. Now, he's not talking about the people of Chicago or Illinois. He's talking about the legal immigrants that they've allowed to stay there. So if this program that's 500 inmates saves $1 million a month for Oklahoma, think of how much billions we would save as taxpayers nationwide if we started deporting these people who should not be here. Again, the Trump effect. I want to bring attention to wasteful spending. Planned Parenthood got $670 million of taxpayer money last year. $670 million of your taxpayer dollars went to supply for abortion needs for America. Doesn't that just make you feel like trash and dirty? It makes me sick to my stomach. Something that I don't support. This is why I get so mad at things like income tax and then frivolous spending on top of that. Because now my dollars and all the money that I've worked so hard for is going to these companies to ultimately cause demise for our own population. And it's just, it's sad. It's sad that where we're at. That's why reckoning needs to come. That's why Trump is, I think, bringing in the people that he's bringing in. You know why they don't want Kash Patel as the FBI director? I want you to listen to this. Donald Trump is expected to appoint Kash Patel as director of FBI. That's just alleged. Number one, Kash testified under oath during the J6 committee and denied him a public hearing and released his transcript unlawfully. Kash calls for prosecution of the committee, not the people of J6. Kash Patel testified that Trump did request 10,000 National Guard troops and the D.C. mayor declined. Members of the Congress can't hide behind the speech and debate clause committing felonies, and we will go after them. Now, that's what Kash is saying about the J6 committee. A full-fledged investigation should be done into these people who threw so many people into prison without due process. So you wonder why they don't want him in leadership? Because he's already said he's going to close down the headquarters and make it a museum and open it somewhere else. Doing better with less bureaucracy and actually doing the will of the people of America. So again, Trump effect. This is why they don't want people like him and Gates in charge, because they are willing to go against the system. Even though you're seeing some states still allowing voting to go on, still counting ballots, and it seems like it's always coming out in dim favor. You know what's actually happening? People are getting tired of it. Listen to this. In Minnesota, there was a judge thrown in jail, election judge, because he allowed 11 unregistered people to vote, skipping the requirements and registration. He could face up to $10,000 fine or 5 years in prison. The reckoning is happening. People are starting to wake up because they don't want cheats. They don't want liars. They don't want scum. They don't want fake politicians. They're wanting realness. News media, MSNBC numbers just came out stating that MSNBC's audience has collapsed. Their primetime shows are not even getting 75,000 people watching them. Now, there's several times in a day I get way more than 75,000 in viewerships per day. And I'm one person sitting on the back of a porch in South Mississippi on his farm. And you're telling me they're paying these people multi-million-dollar contracts and they're not even getting their primetime slots 75,000 a day? It says that the key demo, it was 18 to 54. Weekend shows are not even getting 30,000. People are not trusting the media because they're realizing all the lies that they were told during this campaign. People are waking up. So the day of reckoning is actually coming, and it's becoming a positive affair here in America. Now, don't think that they're going to give up, though. Listen to what's happening in the UK, because they didn't elect conservatism and a pendulum swing. UK to imprison people who view far-right propaganda. If they view it online, meaning if they go to Twitter or they go to YouTube or they go to any other source of right-wing media, they can get fines up to 15 years. You're like, Kobe, that's not happening. Yes, they're going to the houses and getting these people from their home and bringing them to attention. Do you realize our FBI was doing the same thing while Kamala and Biden was in leadership before this election took place? They were going door to door in plain clothes trying to get information of what people were saying online. You don't believe you would have saw that intensify if all of a sudden Trump wouldn't have won? No, but you saw strongmen start standing up. And then now UK is dealing with this because strongmen didn't stand up. And the only strongmen standing up over there is people who are not part of their countries who came in illegally, and now you're seeing UK and Europe, especially Western Europe, people like that we would consider our allies, fallen. They're no longer free anymore because they've allowed for their men to be weak, and they've allowed for leadership to come in from overseas and for immigrants to come in from overseas and not be strong men and lead their people like they're supposed to. It's happening. So the reckoning for us is good, but the reckoning for most of these other places are bad. That's why most of them doesn't like Trump, because he's willing to stand against them. I'm excited to see him on the world stage. I really am. I'm excited to see what he's willing to pull, because they've had Biden for so long, a weak, a person who couldn't do anything. Again, Kamala for sure. Like Mexican's president, you can tell she's overtly liberal. I can't wait to see how Trump handles that. Again, Trudeau. I mean, these two are our biggest trade partners, and they're going more left and more big government. I'm anxious to see how they deal with America when they have a leader like Trump back in office. And you see the tide is turning to where people are wanting freedom again. It's funny because everybody, all these liberals and all these leftists, there's been ways where they're going to Canada and they're going to Mexico and they're going out to Europe. I think it's hilarious. I hope they still go, because then that makes America even more free, because you're getting rid of some of these people who doesn't need to be here. California laughed because there's been talk about them building a referendum to take California and make it an independent country. And to be honest with you, they have a GDP that probably can handle it. But without American taxpayer and without the fact of the Union of the United States, that would actually help America become more conservative for sure, because California is a big liberal hub. But it would fall to pieces because it cannot thrive. Socialism and communism does not make it. There's no nation that has ever made it in. So if you had someone trying to do that, a state that did that, and they had to be completely independent, you would see how bad it would be. You're already starting to see that in Europe, and that's why you're starting to see places like Germany struggling. I mean, they're supposed to throw their leader out because people are getting sick and tired of big government and it not working, and people can't even heat their homes for winter and have food to afford. But you know what? They're worried about those cows. You know what? They're worried about that gas. And all the while, people are starving and can't afford to live because of the way government has done. Government should not be this big. I want you to listen to what Mike Lee said, and I think this is huge. He says, the U.S. tax code steals from you. It takes from you things you can't get back. Time, money, peace of mind. Its sheer complexity in itself is a form of a subsidy. The tentacles of impact is in every aspect of your life. Think how much money you've paid in taxes. Think of how much money they're taking from your paycheck to then turn around and go to Walmart or grocery store, and they take more taxes, and then you go to the gas station, they take more taxes, and then you have to pay property tax and all this other tax. They're taking your livelihood. It steals from you. I want you to listen to this. This is from the new Doge committee. It says, in 1955, there was less than 1.5 million words in the U.S. tax code. Still too many to me. Today, there is more than 16 million words. Because of the complexity, Americans collectively spend 6.5 billion hours preparing and filing their taxes each year. You know how you solve that? You go to a 10% flat tax for America. No, nothing else. And then you start weaning it down. Once you fit that budget, you start weaning it down to where you get to a zero income tax. That's exactly what should happen. You use tariffs, you use negotiations, you use manufacturing, you use business, you use the incentive of growing businesses and thriving, and letting taxes flow in from other states, other cities, and goods that you're selling overseas. And guess what? We would realize that America would be in a better place. 16 million words in our tax forms. You wonder why we need a bigger IRS, huh? Biden came out, and it really wasn't Biden, it was Biden's administration, Antony Blinken, to be exact. He came out and said, until the inauguration, we're going to spend every dollar. Go back and listen to this quote. We're going to spend every extra dollar anywhere we can find to give to Ukraine. Does that make you feel like you're important in America? When your administration is saying they're going to find every extra dollar to send overseas to Ukraine. Now, I laugh because people are saying Pete Hegseth can't run SecDef. He can't handle the Pentagon. It's too big for him. Well, breaking news, the Pentagon on Friday failed its 7th audit. Now, if I'm thinking correctly, if they failed their 7th audit, meaning that's all the years of Biden and also those years of the generals that Trump had to elect because they were the ones that knew the Pentagon better than anyone, 7th audit has been failed. The government agency cannot find $824 billion. They can't account for it. That $824 billion, that was your taxpayers that I imagine floated right to a lot of bureaucracy pockets. And a lot of these leaders that we represent, that represents us, or supposedly represents us, that we are supposed to serve us, but instead they go to Washington to make more law against us. But ultimately, $824 billion missing? unaccounted for? How is that possible? How is that possible? Officials stress that they are making good progress because they want to clean it up by 2028. This is why you need new leadership in the Pentagon, and not these people who cannot do anything and who are frivolously spending your taxpayer dollars. Let's keep on going with this fun thing with money. World Bank officials who reportedly lost track of $24 billion of climate funds are allegedly telling you that President Trump's budget cuts are dangerous. The World Bank lost $24 billion of this so-called climate fund that we invested in, that our taxpayers put money in, but they're telling you that Trump's tax cuts is a problem. This is the reckoning that we're needing. We're needing the day of reckoning. We're needing a purification and a cleansing of our system. We need a reset, but it needs to be a reset of America first, not globalism. These people have taken our money and our tax dollars for way too long. We've been taken advantage of, and it's time that we wake up. It's ridiculous. Now, I'm not the biggest Andrew Tate fan, but I want you to listen to this quote that he read. And then he was actually talking more about UK, but he was talking about the fact of America, UK, and all these governments that's embraced over taxation. If you spend it, they tax it. If you save it, they tax it. If you invest it, they tax it. If you build it, they tax it. If you live in it, they tax it. If you drive it, they tax it. If you eat it, they tax it. If you give it away, they tax it. When you die, they tax it. And all the taxes, then they waste it. Now think about that. When you spend your money, you spend more money on tax. When you save your money, you're penalized because you're not spending your money like you're supposed to. You have too much. When you invest it, if you don't take it out at certain times, or if you try to take it out, they'll penalize you and tax you. If you build a home, they tax you even more. If you sell it, if you build business, they tax you even more. Trust me, I know, I've built businesses. If you sell it, meaning if you sell something, then you have to pay income tax. You live in it, you drive in it, you eat. Everything is taxed. And then when they tax you, they spend your money. $824 billion missing from Pentagon. $24 billion misplaced from the World Bank. $670 million to Planned Parenthood that you didn't want to end the life of children. Is this what freedom looks like? It is now, because there's some change that is happening, and the day of reckoning is coming. Guys, thank you for watching. Again, remember, it's Sunday. Please take your family to church. Get into a Bible study. Realize that strong men are great, but strong Christian men are even better. And when we have a moral and value and a moral code that's leading us in a Christian-like way, then not only are we going to change the world and make it better, we're going to enlighten the world and have an awakening. Thank you guys for watching. God bless. Be free. Be free.